What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. Boozer here, thanks for stopping by. Today's video we are on the test server here and we will be showcasing the upcoming fusion Ishiyama the immovable. So Ishiyama I believe means I think translated into mountain or something along those lines, but here he is, Ishiyama the immovable. He is going to be a spirit based HP based damage dealer, so his damage is going to be based off of HP. And here he is, he's going to be a fragment fusion starting on Monday, May 5th. Let's quickly go over his kit here. If you guys are unaware, he's got an A1 double hit. Each hit has, transfers a random debuff from this champion to the target. If this champion is under any debuffs, when attacked, counterattack with this skill. Now the counterattack can be pretty cool, and obviously he's going to be able to transfer all his debuffs when he counterattacks. He's got 4 books in here for a total of 20% damage. A little bit low value on the books here, which is, not ideal. Best case scenario, player give this damage boost for us for like 2 books, for example, but 4 books here seems a little bit excessive. His A2 here, he's got an AoE on a 3-turn cooldown when fully booked. He's got 100% chance to place Fear, decrease crit damage, and decrease crit rate. These debuffs cannot be resisted by enemies who are already under 2 or more debuffs. On some teams, this condition is actually very easy to do, so getting accuracy on Ishiyama is not totally necessary. Now, the debuffs here I do have a bit of a problem with. The crit damage and the crit rate seem kind of redundant, since if you reduce the crit rate, they're probably not going to be critting a lot, especially PvE content, so then why do you need decreased crit damage on them as well? But for arena, I guess that kind of makes a little bit more of a difference. The Fear is obviously good, but Fear as a hard CC is not the best. It's not bad, but it's not the best. And on a 3-turn cooldown AoE, it seems very reasonable. So let's see if you can actually hit with this. That'll be the most interesting part. His A3 here, finish them, level 1. He's got a 4-turn down to 3-turn when fully booked. Attacks 1 enemy, ignore 25% of the target's defense, will ignore 50% of the target's defense if the target's under 2 or more debuffs. Again, the 2 debuffs not too hard to fulfill if he's in the right team. It's a shame that it's a single target hit. I compared him to Sun Wukong's A2. Sun Wukong's A2's ignore 50% defense without any condition, so his A2 is significantly better than this one. Not to mention, obviously, the sheep flexibility or the splash damage, just wiping out teams. But yeah, so this guy also can place block damage on himself if he kills an enemy. We will see how the multipliers look in this video. And his passive here, whenever an enemy resists a debuff attempt from this champion, the next debuff placed by this champion cannot be resisted. So that kind of works pretty well with his kit, especially with no accuracy. So basically, whenever he tries to land a debuff, so he's transferring here, there's no debuff chance or anything, so this always happens. The first hit, if it gets resisted, the second hit will be irresistible, which is pretty cool. So he's going to be guaranteeing himself some debuffs to land, which is pretty cool, even without accuracy, of course. And then the second part of his passive here, each debuff placed by this champion increases their max HP by 3%, stacks up to 30%. So 10 debuffs landed, max damage. Longer fights, he probably does okay. Although the Fear here means that he's probably not necessarily a boss damage dealer, more maybe for waves. And I know he was advertised for arena, but it's going to be pretty hard to break the arena meta here. So let's check out his base stats here. Decent base HP, a little bit on the slow / average side of speed. He's got 63% crit damage, which is good for damage dealers. But yeah, let's jump into how we built him out and let's test him out. Alright guys, so here is my Ishiyama here. I basically took the gear off of my Taras, which is the best HP based damage dealer on my account, and I'm just going to directly transfer it onto Ishiyama here. Fully booked, of course, and then we did have a 5-star blessing ready for him. So I would assume that, probably a 5-star blessing will be obtainable for him, maybe in a Titan event or a Hero's Path along the way. So keep an eye out for that during the fusion. But yeah, let's check out the total stats on this Ishiyama here with the 5-star blessing. 281 speed, 332 crit damage, 105k HP. He's got 240 accuracy. I didn't build him with intention for accuracy, so you can kind of see here. I'm going to move my head. There's only 46 accuracy from gear. The rest of the accuracy comes from faction guardians, the blessing, the affinity bonuses. So yeah, he's going to have a little bit of accuracy, but it's going to be enough for some of the dungeons. In terms of gearing, I went with, of course, 4-piece stone skin with 4-piece lethal. It's going to give him a little bit of ignore defense and, of course, a chance at a turn here. These stats are going to be pretty good, pretty endgame for most people here, so don't worry too much about it for your own account. Just scale down the stats for whatever difficulty and content you are tackling. Obviously, on the test server here, I'm up against the other content creators who have pretty strong accounts, so I'm going to have to gear them out in some pretty strong gear so that we can have some interesting arena fights, for example. But this would be an arena build. For general wave-based content, I would probably gear them out without Stone Skin, and then you can still use the ignore defense sets like Savage or Lethal or Merciless would still work pretty fine. If you don't have those sets, then just broken sets, best stats you can put on him also work fine. No relics to put on him because I don't want any crazy RNG from relics. We went with Soul Reap, is a little bit extra damage here. Here are the masteries here. Nothing too crazy in terms of the nuker masteries. Went down to Helm Smasher, of course. For the defense mastery, I did take improved parries to get a little bit of damage reduction here. I did take Harvest Despair because he has a chance to land the Leech, because he does place Fear, which could be helpful. And then I went with Deterrence, which is a counterattack whenever a hard CC lands on an ally. So if it lands on himself, it kind of gives himself a chance to counterattack with his A1 and then send some debuffs back. I think that could be interesting, but pretty standard here. I would definitely go with the defense tree instead of support tree and trying to go down accuracy and all that stuff. You definitely could go down support tree, go down accuracy, and then maybe end off with debuff extension. So Master Hexer for extra debuffs. That could work too. That could work pretty decently, I think. Definitely a viable option. Anyways, guys, let's jump into the arena and see what he can actually do, see what kind of damage he can do. All right, guys, so this is the team I'm going to run him with. We got Seath Fee for the speed lead, and then the buff, all the buffs and the Termir boost. We got some lockout and some crowd control here. We got support with the shield set, and then we have Ishiyama here for the damage. So let's see how well he does. We are facing a team with Harima, so the overall damage is going to be a little bit less, but let's see how we do anyways. All right, let's take it off the auto. All right, so we go first, Termir boost, lock them out. There we go, baby in, so good. All right, now it's our turn. Let's slow it down for the cameras here. What should we do first? Let's start with the, So this one would benefit off of debuffs. So let's land some debuffs first. All right, we don't have much accuracy. We got about 250. It might not land on some of the DPS champions, especially the 6-star Harima. But let's see how much we land. All right, so we do land a couple. We land a couple fears, and then some crit damage reduction here. So let's see. Let's sleep you. All right, let's see what the A1 can do. Let's see if we can just kill this Senna here with the A1. Let's slow it down. Oh, looks like Necrit is attached to Fabian here, so we don't really want that. Let's petrify you. All right, all right, all right. I want to see what this guy can do. Let's see. More fears. Sleep you. All right. Here's the big slammer. Big slammer here. Attack one enemy. Ignore 25% of the target's defense. Will ignore 50% of the target's defense instead if the target is under 2 or more debuffs. So this Harima is going to be is also under petrification, so he's going to receive less damage, I guess. But he is going to ignore lethal, so that's 25 plus 50, so 75%. But then Harima's passive is 50% effective, so it's only like 37.5%. Let's see what it can do here with the A3 against this Harima that's petrified, and finish them. 20,000 damage. That doesn't seem like a lot. 20,000 damage does not seem like a lot, especially with the gear levels I have him in right now. We are facing a Harima, but still, I think it doesn't feel super strong there. Let's see. Okay, so we got locked out, so it feels kind of bad. Okay, let's test the A1. Let's see what the A1 can do here. So double hit. Each hit transfers a random debuff from this champion to the target. Okay. Let's see if we can kill. Let's see what damage we're going to do against Senna here. Smash. 40k with one hit. Now that seems pretty reasonable. So maybe the A1 actually hits pretty hard. Might be one of those situations where the A1 hits pretty hard and then the rest of his kit doesn't. All right, let's see. Maybe get the Duchess to come back up. Come on, Duchess, come back up. There we go. All right, so Harima's back. Try the A1 again. Boom, boom. 8 and 16. I mean, definitely not a lot, considering that Duchess is probably, you know, kind of tanky. Definitely not a lot. High resistance. Doesn't feel like it's going to be a lot of damage here from the A1. Yeah, it doesn't really feel like it. Harima is on the field, so that's going to be something. Let's come out of this and let's find a fight without Harima just to get a better sense of his overall damage. All right, let's see how he fares in just like a generic speed team battle here. Obviously, the other team with Harima is a little bit more on the tanky side. So this is just a generic speed battle. All right, we go first, boosting, and then we lock them out. Okay, everything's good. Failed against the Kaimar. Ugh. Okay. All right. Petrify you. Oh, right. He has the protection against petrified. Sucks. All right, let's see. So we're going to go with the starting off with the A2. So this will land the debuffs and stuff. Let's see if it hits. 1-time speed for the cameras and almost killed everybody. I mean, that's not bad. Almost killed everybody. That's not bad. Not bad. But I wouldn't say that's really good. Obviously, like if Taras was running this gear in this team, he would just one-shot everybody with like tons of damage to spare. But I don't think that AoE was that bad. Not great, but not bad. A1 for 23k. Got the reset. Okay, let's single target smack the Marius. So this is just 25% ignore defense. Let's see how much damage we can do against the Marius. Slow it down for the cameras. 83k. We get the block damage on for 2 turns. That's actually pretty significant, right? We know how annoying that can be. I mean, 25% ignore doing 83k. Not too bad. All right, let's try another generic kind of speed team here. Similar situation. Go first. See if we can nuke them down. Let's see here. Okay. Go first. Okay. Lock them out. Stone skin everywhere and stone skin removed on 1. Okay. Spirit affinity as well. So you see the negative affinity against Armans and Kaimar. Bit of a drag. AoE not able to kill, but even with very minimal accuracy, can still land quite a bit of the debuffs. That's kind of cool to see. But yeah, his AoE is not enough to kill. Not enough to kill. That's interesting. All right, all right. Okay, let's kill her. Finish them. 97k. I mean, it seems like his damage is okay. It's definitely not insane. Definitely not insane. We're not really benefiting too much from his passive. That's the thing too. So his passive gives him a damage boost, right? After how many debuffs he lands. So he's not going to be landing like his full debuff stacks. Each debuff plays increases their max HP by 3%. So he's not fully maxing him out in these fights, but in longer fights, he can definitely max out. So he's going to get a little bit more damage. I think this passive is probably a little bit underrated. It's actually decent. Even with low accuracy, he can land his debuffs relatively, you know, frequently-ish. I wouldn't say he's super low accuracy as 240. 240. Unless you're fighting high blessing nukers, they might have, you know, 250 resistance. Like for example, like he has 300 resistance without having to build resistance on him. So if you're running 240 accuracy into 300 resistance, you're not going to have like a super strong chance of landing it, but you'll have a chance of landing it. So having the passive really helps. Obviously the second debuff will land irresistibly. And, after that just kind of snowballs, right? So the more debuffs they land, the more damage he does. The more irresistible debuffs he ends up landing. In terms of overall damage, I don't think it's going to be anything crazy. Like we were doing AoEs against just generic speed teams and not able to kill anybody. So not really feeling that damage part, but let's test him out in another area and see how well he performs. I think maybe in Hydra, he might actually scale a bit better. These debuffs aren't super relevant, but you can still use him as a damage dealer. So let's see how well he performs in that area. All right, so this is the team I got him in right now. We got him in a pretty good team to make him shine a bit, right? We got Lady Mikage here, so you get some more ally attack A1s in. Obviously, decreased defense. We got Weaken. We're going to put him up against Thor here for a damage comparison. And then we have Sulfurion here just for additional support. Let's jump in here. So Sulfy, HP burn. Let's go the ally attack. Obviously, since he's max HP based, nothing can really boost up his damage, but he does have a scaling passive, which can be okay here. Since this is going to be a longer fight, he's going to have opportunity to scale up. Let's go with his A2 first, just to basically ramp up his passive damage. And of course, he has Nature's Wrath on for PvE content. So this is going to ramp that up as well. Let's check out how many debuffs he ends up landing. A good amount, actually. 2, 4, 6, 8. He actually lands them all. Unless I'm missing something. I think he landed them all. 8. No fears, of course. Thor's going to come in here. Let's go A2. This is the bigger smack. 300, 500. 300, 500k. Like, those are big hits. Those are some big hits. 300, 500k. Yeah, I don't think he was cranking out 300 or 500k with his AoE. I think his AoE was closer to about 200, maybe less. So definitely not as impressive as Thor. Like AoE to AoE, we can compare the gear afterwards. But I'm pretty sure that I have Ishiyama here in better gear than the Thor. But yeah, let's do this for a couple minutes. Let's get some damage numbers out here. Extra turn. Check out the A1 from Thor, 80k or so. Here we can check out the A1 from Ishiyama, see how it compares to Thor. Slow it down. Thor was doing about 80k. Ishiyama doing 100. About 100k, so a little bit better. Could be a difference in gear. But yeah, doing a little bit better on the A1. I like that his run is actually fast. A little bit faster. Looks kind of funny though. All right, so Thor's going to come in here. Let's check out the damage again from the A2. And yeah, about 400k. 400k here, 360 over here. So yeah, pretty significant like damage from Thor's AoE. That's his hardest hitting ability, the A2. But yeah, let's check out what Ishiyama can do here. Let's go ally attack. Boom, kills Thor. Okay, AoE again. Let's try the AoE again. This time we'll check out the damage numbers here. 200. I saw 200 here. I saw 140 here. There's decreased defense here, so 220 with decreased defense. I mean, yeah, it's not really comparable to somebody like Thor. Thor is just way stronger, so we'll get that out of the way. But let's see if Mikage can boost up his damage enough so that he's like semi-viable. The tough part is Mikage, has Ninja, right? Ninja is free, so it's kind of hard to make this guy work. But I think when you evaluate champions now, you have to think about hard faction wars. And, he might be a champion that actually works there, right? We don't know what hard faction wars is or when it's going to happen, but kind of have to think about it in the back of our minds here. Let's see what kind of damage you can do with the A3. It's going to be 50% ignore defense against this decapped head. Let's go. Smack. 1.15 million on that hit. Not bad. Not bad. It is a decapped head, but not bad. Let's see what Thor does on the A3. He's doing 270. He's doing 278 on the decapped head. Let's see what else. See what else we can do here. Now it's time to do some damage against everybody. HP burns. Decrease defense. And A1 going into... Let's go into this guy. Pop. Pop. 500k A1s. Okay, that's pretty good. I think the best thing about his kit might be his A1. Look at those hits with the A1. I think that's pretty good. That's pretty good. It is a decapped head, you know, decreased defense and weakened, but it's a good amount of damage, to be honest. Okay, let's see what Thor can do against this decapped head. All right. Okay, Thor's doing comparable numbers as well. Just under 500. We saw 400 something, but Ishiyama doing a little bit more in his A1. It could be just difference in gear, but they're comparable. Strong A1s. So his A1 is good. But his AoE is questionable, especially in the arena setting where he wasn't able to kill just generic speed teams. That is a little bit concerning. Obviously, his A3 can hit pretty hard with the ignore 50% defense. That can be a pretty strong ability. Let's see the AoE here, like 600k AoE. It's kind of not enough. Kind of not enough. Decrease speed. Yeah, kind of not enough nowadays. So no real surprises in terms of crazy damage numbers or anything like that. Let's shut it down and let's see what kind of numbers we're pulling here. So this is brutal difficulty. We got Ishiyama here pulling 8.1, and then we got Thor here at 7.5. Now keep in mind that Ishiyama is benefiting a lot from Mikage, basically doing the A1 slams quite a bit. And again, his A1 is pretty strong. One of the stronger hits that he has. So we got Ugo and Estrid here doing the hex damage, sharing it a little bit. But yeah, let's quickly run some basically quick battles and see what kind of damage output these guys can do. Lady Mikage has a broken 9-piece, so that feels kind of bad. But that doesn't really alter too much about the comparison. It just gives them less overall damage. So no big deal here. We'll just throw a helm on her. Pretty good helm, triple speed helm. Yeah, let's do some auto battles and see what the damage spread is for these guys here. Just gonna move my head. Well, full 1000 turns right away. This is brutal difficulty. So we got 119 Ishiyama versus Thor 112. Again, Lady Mikage is in the mix. So Ishiyama doing equal damage to Thor is not super impressive. Try again. Should be consistent here, I think, if we're going 1000 turns. Let's see. Yep, basically bang on 118, 118, right? 118, 118. So of course, we could probably accurately assume that Ishiyama does less damage than Thor, since he's basically doing the same damage as Thor with the help of Lady Mikage, and probably with overall better gear. So I'm going to show you guys the gearing on these champions, and then you guys can be the judge for yourselves. So I'll show you guys the Ishiyama build I used for the Hydra. So I'm in 9-piece Merciless, which is basically one of the best damage dealing sets you could have for, most content. Checking out his stats here: 110 base HP, 230 speed, 357 crit damage, accuracy, a little bit accuracy, but not crazy. 230 is not really enough for brutal, really, but a little bit accuracy. No relics. I did change up his blessing from Reaper to Nature's Wrath, so you get some extra damage over prolonged fights, which is pretty good. Mastery is unchanged from the arena build, and yeah, this is a decent build, right? And then we got Thor. You can compare him here versus the Ishiyama. So Thor here, a little bit low on the attack, a little bit slower, and a lot less crit damage. So you can kind of see here that the build on Thor is significantly worse than Ishiyama's build. Also no relic, Nature's Wrath as well. Similar masteries here. But the build is obviously worse. Obviously worse. Slower, less crit damage, pretty low attack, to be honest, for a late game attack based damage dealer. And yeah, Ishiyama was not doing, not doing incredible damage. Like you think that he would probably bypass Thor by a lot, especially with Mikage in the mix. But that wasn't the case. So I think overall, even for Hydra, he's not going to be a significant boost for most accounts because he doesn't really bring anything to Hydra, right? He brings decreased crit damage and crit rate. It's not super significant debuffs. And he's supposed to be a damage dealer, but he doesn't bring significant amounts of damage. Like I said, if you have a ninja, he's going to be significantly better Shadowkin than Ishiyama here. So where is this guy going to be used that makes him really, really shine? Let's take a quick look at like just basic wave-based content here. So let's quickly jump into Dragon 10 and see what kind of team we can do for him to make him kind of shine here. Okay, I have him here in just a basic team here, a couple damage dealers, decreased defense, and a reviver. I just want to see if he can actually play more of a supporting DPS role where his fears can actually help your team actually go through like some waves. That might be a spot where he can be okay. He can pitch in some damage as well. So let's just quickly see this guy in action here. I tried not to bring any CC in this team from the other champions. Oh, he hits pretty hard. Well, his gear is good enough to go through some of these waves. This is the same gear that I'm using in the Hydra set. But yeah, not too bad there. Nobody here is like crazily built. He is the best built champion in terms of overall gear. His A1 hitting there, not doing crazy damage without decreased defense. We got decreased defense down. And then that's his AoE. His AoE, yeah, taking care of business a little bit. But I mean, he can be replaced with like so many different champions here. Extra turn from Merciless gear. And then we get to the boss. Now, decreased crit rate against some PvE content can be pretty strong because a lot of content, actually, they only have 15% crit rate. So having decreased crit rate on them means they just never crit because, yeah, they're just going to have no crit rate. Which again brings me to the point where crit damage is kind of redundant because if they have no crit rate, they're never going to crit you. So having decreased crit damage doesn't really make that big of a difference. But that only really applies to like PvE content here. Yeah, decreased crit rate there. Yep, the dragon's not critting. The dragon's not critting. But I think we're reaching a little bit to make this guy more viable. So personally speaking, just from playing with this guy for a little bit of time here, I'm not really seeing super crazy places for this guy to go. I think he's more of a mid-tier damage dealer. There's going to be lots of options in this kind of range of champion where they're kind of mid-ish. He doesn't deal extreme amounts of damage on any part of his kit. He doesn't bring super relevant debuffs. The fear can be okay just to help you go through some waves. For example, like if you pulled this guy as your first legendary and you don't have Sun Wukong or anybody worth putting resources in, yeah, he can help, right? He's a legendary. He has good base stats. He can hit reasonably. His passive can be easy to work with in terms of, landing debuffs back and all that stuff. But I think as a carry, he's definitely not going to be a super strong carry. Yeah. So overall, I think he's going to be below average champion. So if you guys want to back out of the fusion and just take a little bit of a break, by all means, I don't think anybody's going to really, really miss this guy. But hey, we actually finished this dragon run with a bunch of random champions, I think. Let's see. Do we actually finish this? He has to kill us in one hit here. Yay, Brimstone. Thank you. Ooh. Well, we are on the test server. Let's see what happens. Nope. just testing it out. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments below what you guys think about Ishiyama here. Yeah, like I said, I think he's more of a mid-tier champion, probably below average for sure. Not going to really have a place in Arena. Not going to really have a place in Hydra. More of a generic damage dealer type champion. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Are you guys going to go for the fusion? It is a fragment fusion, so it's a little bit easier to get. And then you can, of course, save it for future champion chase to get additional value from him. So there is some benefit to doing that. And we did have a pretty low participation fusion last month. So maybe people are ready to participate in a fusion here. But honestly, I think people can probably pass this guy and it wouldn't really hurt you that much. But like I said earlier, you know, faction wars is something to consider, especially hard faction wars. No idea what kind of requirements we're looking at. So, you know, sometimes these champions can help you fill that role, you know, once in a while, right? You just never know. But anyways, that's going to be it for the video. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about Ishiyama and if you guys are going for the fusion. So thanks for watching to the end. Appreciate your time as always. And I'll see you guys in the next one.